So the original Dead Space launched way back in 2008 and was a phenomenal game. We did get a Dead Space 2 and later a Dead Space 3, which pretty much sank the franchise because they went away from survival horror and put in microtransactions and crafting. And well, fast forward to 2021 and we're still waiting for Dead Space 4, which I don't think will ever happen. However, I think this is actually a good thing because the original creator, or one of the co-creators of Dead Space, Glenn Schofield, started a new studio called Striking Distance, and they're working on something called the Callisto Protocol. And from everything they talk about here, it sounds like it's a spiritual successor to Dead Space. Hey guys, this is Chris with B&B Gaming. Welcome back, and I hope you're doing awesome today. Thank you for taking the time to check out this video. Thank you for taking the time to hit that like button if you're new here, subscribing if you like the content. Definitely appreciate it. Now to start out with, guys, what exactly is the Callisto Protocol? And I gathered a bunch of information here from the wiki and different articles, and I forget which one this is from, but it says the Callisto Protocol is an upcoming third-person survival horror game, sounds familiar, scheduled for release in 2022. The game is being developed by the studio Striking Distance, founded by Glenn Schofield, who had previously co-created the Dead Space series. The game is set in the same narrative universe as PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, though set several centuries in its future. And I know what you're thinking. PUBG has a story? From everything I've read, basically when Glenn Schofield pitched the Callisto Protocol to the parent company of PlayerUnknown's Battleground, they asked if he could tie it into PUBG, and he agreed to. Along with this, they've also announced recently, I think in the last couple weeks, that they have partnered with Skybound Games, which is Robert Kirkman's company, famous for The Walking Dead, which is a multimedia, comics, TV shows, etc. type of studio. So what does it mean as far as the Callisto Protocol being tied in the PUBG universe? Who knows, maybe we might get a PUBG map on the moon of Callisto or something, or maybe they'll add more futuristic weapons, or maybe it doesn't mean anything, maybe it's just a marketing thing. I guess we'll find out. As far as the story in the Callisto Protocol, I'm going to go ahead and play the full trailer, the Red Band trailer, or the extended trailer that they released after the Game Awards.
Attention. All personnel report to the main CBD block. This is not a drill.
Alright, man, get up. What the hell? You seeing this? Something ain't right.
Please remain calm. There is nothing to fear.
This is Black Irons to transport ship Charon. You are cleared for landing.
So the Callisto Protocol takes place in 2320, and just for reference, Dead Space 3 took place in 2515, so what, 200 years after the Callisto Protocol, so obviously they're not related. Well, anyways, the Callisto Protocol takes place on a prison colony called Black Iron, located on Jupiter's moon Callisto, operated by EA. No, actually the United Jupiter Corporation. We as players take the role of a prisoner held at Black Iron Prison, finding themselves in the midst of an alien invasion that appears to have been engineered by the prison's warden. So the big question is this Dead Space 4, or is this Dead Space remake? Is this going to play like Dead Space? So to start with, they are actively encouraging the comparisons, going as far as putting Dead Space Easter eggs in the trailer. So along with Glenn Schofield, again one of the co-creators of Dead Space, they also have Steve Papoutsis, my apologies if I mispronounced your name, who it says in this article was also a co-developer of the Dead Space series and also led the series following Schofield's departure from Visceral. And I looked it up, and he's actually the game director for Dead Space 3, which was, in my opinion, a good game, but they did add a few things in that game that I think kind of messed up the formula a little bit, and I'll talk about that at the end of the video here when I get into my opinion and my analysis, etc. Well, anyways, along with Glenn and Steve, we also have Scott Whitney, a designer on the Dead Space series, and Christopher Stone, the animation director for the former series. So evidently he was a key part of, animating all the limbs falling off or something. It's kind of cool. So in addition to that, they also have 150 employees at striking distance, and Schofield said about 25 to 30 former co-workers from Visceral Games and Sledgehammer Games are part of striking distance. So basically the story of Visceral Games was that somehow they were able to make Dead Space before EA came in and destroyed them. And anyways, Glenn Schofield left, I believe, after Dead Space 1, and Dead Space 2 happened, and EA didn't really it didn't make enough money for their greedy little tendrils. So they came out with Dead Space 3, which they tried to make less survival horror and make more of a Mass Effect or something. So anyways, Glenn Schofield left Visceral Games after Dead Space 1, and he formed Sledgehammer Games, which became one of the 3 studios that made Call of Duty for the last decade or whatever. Anyways, he left Sledgehammer Games and formed Striking Distance, and sounds like he really wants to get back to a Dead Space type of experience. Another aspect they showed off in the trailer is that the Callisto Protocol is going to feature what they're calling Diegenic Interface, which is what they call it when you can see the HUD on the back of your player. So like in Dead Space, you can see Isaac Clarke's health and also his telekinesis. So along with the different articles they did in interviews, they also did a Discord Q&A where we got more clues about what they're going to do with the Callisto Protocol. One of the questions they were asked by Battle Grizz, which is an awesome name, it says, with the goal of making the scariest game ever, what are the benefits of making a third-person game versus a first-person? And they replied and said that being able to see your character, it's interesting to see your enemies grabbing you and seeing how your player reacts. And I think, again, this is alluding to Dead Space where, whatever the Necromorphs would grab Isaac Clarke and, bite his head off or, yank him around or whatever. Another question asked was by Dominic. He said, why did you decide on a prison for the setting of this game? Here Glenn Schofield replied and said, as far as the setting goes, we wanted a terrifying place along with being on Jupiter. In terms of gameplay, we wanted a claustrophobic environment with tight corridors and opportunities with lighting and sound design. And to me, this harkens again back to Dead Space, the original one, which is a really tight experience. You do have those experiences where you're outside a little bit, but you're not really outside because you're running out of oxygen. And in terms of storytelling for a prison, he said that you're going to start out with just the clothes on your back. And I did find it on the Reddit that he did let it slip. And again, this is early, so they don't want to talk too much about this game. But Glenn Schofield did let it slip that we are going to be wearing armor. So I think they are going to upgrade the experience from the original Dead Space. But I think they're going to get back to what made it great. In terms of different game modes, is this going to have multiplayer? Is it going to have co-op again? They confirmed that the Callisto Protocol is going to be a single-player, narrative-driven experience. And again, back to the Discord Q&A, Himoko asked, will there be co-op? Here Glenn Schofield replied and said that we decided on a single-player narrative-driven experience, focused on telling the story. However, just like in Dead Space 1, we are going to have different NPCs in the world. And someone asked in the Discord Q&A, they said, fear can be a subjective thing. What is terrifying to one person isn't to another. How do you approach making a game scary? Here Glenn Schofield replied and said, trying to figure out what would really scare me. Abandoned places, water up to your waist in the dark, etc. Along with that, Steve Pompusis, he said, it starts with connecting with the story. I think it's important that you care about the protagonist and characters, which ramp up the tension. As far as next gen goes, Kevin B asked, how does the next gen console help you take horror to the next level? Here they said that development really starts with concept and gameplay, that they try to leverage new hardware, but concept and gameplay are the core goals. But they did go on and say one of the key improvements is going to be the advancement in lighting, so strobing, flickering lights, etc., and also 3D audio, so you're going to be able to hear the creatures scratching around the corner, whatever they're going to be doing. Now, as far as the release date for the Callisto Protocol, it's scheduled for 2022, and right now they're talking about Steam, Xbox Series X and S, and PS5, though who knows, it's pretty early, it could be on different platforms as well. So what do you guys think of the Callisto Protocol? Let me know in the comments below. Are you a fan of Dead Space 1, 2, 3? Did you like 3? Let me know what you think. For me, I'm really excited about the Callisto Protocol. I think a huge plus is that it's not affiliated with EA in any way, shape, or form. If you watch the Gamers documentary of Dead Space, they talk about basically how EA got greedy, of course, and they wanted 10 plus million copies of Dead Space 3 sold, so they made it more like Mass Effect and to put co-op in it, and they put crafting in there, and then they snuck in microtransactions so you could buy the crafting material, of course, and they just wrecked the game and basically killed Visceral Games eventually. And I'm excited that Glenn Schofield is part of this. From what I understand, he's a great developer, and everything he's done with Dead Space at Visceral Games, and then at Sledgehammer, and now at Striking Distance, I think there's a really good chance this is going to be an incredible game.
Attention. All personnel report to the main city block. This is not a drill.
Hey, man, get up. What the hell? You see this? Something ain't right.
Please remain calm. It's nothing to fear.
This is Black Irons to transport ship Charon. You are cleared for landing.